My name is Barbara Randall. The spelling is Barbararandall.
Miss Randall, how old are you?
64.
Where do you live?
Seabrook, New Hampshire.
How long have you lived in Seabrook, New Hampshire?
Pretty much all my life.
Do you live with anyone or by yourself?
By myself.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
2.
And how old are they?
Tommy would have been 48 and Casey is 39.
Do you have any grandchildren?
Yes, I do.
How many grandchildren do you have?
5.
And approximately how old are they?
Oh, goodness. 13, 12, 8, 7, and 4.
Do you currently work or volunteer in any way?
Yes, I do.
What do you do?
I work at a hair salon.
How long have you worked at the hair salon?
For the last 5 or 6 years.
For the last 5 or 6 years, what have you been doing at the hair salon?
I just kind of look over the whole place, answer the phone, whatever needs to be done.
Prior to the 5 to 6 years that you've been at the current hair salon, what was your career when you were younger?
Hairdresser my whole life.
How long were you a hairdresser?
36 years.
And at some point, did you retire from that and now you work part-time at the hair salon that you just described?
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Montana. Then we moved to Hampton, Hampshire. Then we moved to Hampton Falls. And then we moved to Seabrook, where I've been majority of my life.
Did you know an individual by the name of Leroy Fowler?
Yes.
How was it that you knew him?
I had a relationship with him.
When did you first meet Mr. Fowler?
Oh, I'd say probably 20 years prior.
Prior to what? Prior to your relationship with him?
Yes.
What were the circumstances in which you met him 20 years prior to starting a relationship with him?
Well, when I was working at the hair salon, I took a part-time job working at a Keno place, and I met him there.
How would you describe the relationship you had with him at that time?
Fine. Nothing. I mean, I didn't really even talk to him in the Keno place. I had just seen him and...
Ms. Randall, I'm just going to ask you to try to speak right into that microphone. I just want to make sure everyone can hear you.
Okay.
Can everyone hear? All right. Go ahead, Ms. Strassing.
At some point after that 20-year period, did you reconnect with Mr. Fowler in some way?
Yes, I did.
What were the circumstances in which you reconnected with him?
What do you mean, how I did?
Yeah, how'd you reconnect with him?
Through Facebook.
And did you reach out to him or did he reach out to you?
He reached out to me.
As a result of him reaching out to you, when approximately was that? What year, if you remember?
Oh, it was like 8 years ago.
8 years ago from now or 8 years ago from when he passed away?
Both. I mean, it was about 8 years ago.
Okay. And at some point after he reached out to you, did the two of you meet up in person?
Yes.
Did you begin a relationship with him?
Yes, we did.
How long were you in a relationship with him prior to him passing away?
8 years.
Okay. And how would you describe your relationship with him?
Off and on.
What do you mean by off and on?
There were good times and there were bad times.
Would he stay at your house?
Yes.
How often would he stay at your house?
He'd stay a couple nights, then he'd go home.
Where was home?
At my house. Oh, his house? At Judy Church's.
Who was Judy Church?
His other girlfriend.
And you were aware of Miss Church being his other girlfriend from the time you started seeing him after he Facebook messaged you?
Not in the beginning, no.
How long after you started, when you reconnected with him, did you become aware of Miss Church?
I would say within 6 months.
How did you become aware of her?
Probably through conversation with him or something.
You said that he would come to your house and stay for a few days and then leave?
Yes.
How often would he come and go from your house?
Numerous times.
Did he ever live with you?
Not really.
What types of things would the two of you do together when he was at your home?
We did everything. I mean, there was never a boring moment with him. My grandkids were a huge part of our lives.
What types of things would you do with your grandkids?
Oh, we do rail trails from here, from Seabrook to Newburyport. We take bikes down, then we go sledding, yard sailing, just everyday things.
How would you describe the relationship he had with your grandchildren?
Excellent. Very, very good.
Where was he living at the time? Do you know the address that he was living?
Down Salisbury Beach.
And he was living, you said, with Miss Church?
Yes.
Did you know her?
Before this, no.
At some point, you said you became aware of her. At any point, did you meet her?
I guess, yeah. Down the road, yes. I did. I mean, physically seen her, yes.
Did you ever have conversations with her?
Not really, no. Not that I can recall.
Do you know, did you have a nickname for her?
Yes.
What was the nickname you had for her?
Grandma.
Why'd you call her Grandma?
Because she looked like one.
How would you describe the relationship you had with Miss Church?
Not existing.
Did you, during the course of your relationship with Mr. Fowler, did you ever buy him expensive things?
No.
Did you ever buy him a house?
No.
A car?
No.
A motorcycle?
No.
When he was at your home, what types of things would he eat or drink?
He always drank milk, and he would drink Coke.
Did you know him to ever drink alcohol?
Maybe 3 times that I knew him in the 8 years.
And when he did drink during those 3 times, what did you see him drink?
Beer.
Were you aware if he used any drugs or narcotics?
Yes.
What were you aware of?
I was aware of cocaine, and he was prescribed Percocet.
During your time with Mr. Fowler, did he ever make any comments to you about being depressed or wanting to kill himself?
No.
How would you describe Mr. Fowler's personality when he was with you?
Fine.
Were there times, you said that the two of you are on and off, correct?
Yes.
How often would you be on and off during the course of the 8 years?
Sporadically.
Was there a time, about a year prior to Mr. Fowler's death, that he went to Florida?
Yes.
And were you aware that he was going to Florida?
Yes.
How did you feel about him going to Florida?
I told him to go. Have a good time.
And why was that?
Because I was done with it. I didn't want the back and forth anymore. It was over to me.
And when you say over, how many times would you and Mr. Fowler be over and then get back together?
Numerous.
So when you would tell him it was over, was it ever really over?
No.
When Mr. Fowler would tell you it was over, was it ever really over?
No.
Who would always be the one to come back?
Him.
When he went to Florida about a year prior, so about 2021, how did you know he came back?
I picked him up.
Where did you pick him up?
At the airport.
And did he call you and ask you to pick him up?
Yes.
How long had he been in Florida, prior to you going to pick him up at the airport?
I want to say a couple days, maybe 3, tops 4.
When he came home, did he come home alone?
Yes.
How long after he came home do you know who he went to Florida with at that time?
Yes.
Who?
Judy Church.
How long after he came home did Miss Church come home, if you know?
I'd say immediately.
Did you also become aware of a plan that Mr. Fowler had to go back to Florida and move there in November or around November of 2022?
I was aware it was going to happen, yes.
And how did you react to that?
Told him to go.
Was that for the same reason that you said?
Yes.
During the course of your relationship with Mr. Fowler, did he ever propose to you?
Yes.
How many times?
Twice.
Did you say yes?
I did the first time. The second time I must have said yes, but I don't really remember.
And then is it fair to say that after you said yes, the relationship went off again?
Probably after, obviously, yeah, after that.
I want to specifically talk to you about the time period leading up to Mr. Fowler's death on November 13th of 2022. About a month prior to his death, did he ever complain to you about his health while you were in person with him?
Yes.
Specifically, did he complain about his stomach?
Yes.
Could you describe to the jurors what did he tell you? Did he ask you to do something?
Well, it was really hard. It was bloated, and it was like super hard. And he kept saying, feel the slump, feel the slump.
And did you feel the lump?
Yes, I did.
And could you feel that it was hard and bloated like you just described?
It was hard, and it was bulging. You could see it.
And did that go on for a period of time that he would ask you to feel that lump?
Not that I recall.
Were you able to push on it in any way?
Yeah, I did push on it that day.
Did he make other complaints to you around that time about his health?
Just that he was tired. He didn't really feel that good here and there.
Did you make observations of him being tired?
Not really. He wasn't as get up and go maybe, but it was the day,
At some point around that time period, did you observe him throw up?
Yes.
Could you describe to the jurors what you saw? What were the circumstances?
He had just walked in my house, and he was normal, and he was talking, and within 10 minutes, he just threw up. It just projectiled out of his mouth, like a circle of it.
Is that what you mean by projectile? There was a circle?
Yeah.
And had you ever seen him throw up in any way before?
No.
How did he react? What observations did you make of him when he was throwing up like that?
Well, he was embarrassed of the mess he had made on the floor. And I was like, I don't care, What's going on? He said, I don't know.
At some point, did he also have concerns when he used the bathroom? Specifically as it related to having a bowel movement?
Yes.
Could you describe to the jury, what did he show you after he had a bowel movement?
He went in the bathroom, and he hollered to me, and I went over, and he goes, look, see, I told you. And he had wiped himself, and it was on the toilet paper. There was blood.
How many times would you say that you observed blood on the toilet paper while he was at your house?
One time.
Is it fair to say that you and Mr. Fowler would also text message?
Oh, yeah.
If I may approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Randall, I'm going to show you a series of text messages. I believe you've seen these before. If you could just look at them and just read through them to yourself. Are those portions of a conversation that you had with Mr. Fowler in September of 2022 relative to his health?
Yes.
If these could be marked as the next exhibit, please.
They may. Rights preserved, Mr.
Thank you, Ron.
Scully.
Exhibit 31, so marked.
Thank you. With the court's permission, if I could publish.
Yes, you may.
Exhibit 31, and just for the record, it's 5 pages. I'm gonna do this again. I'm not sure this is going to be very clear. If I could just read the portions of the text messages into the record.
You may.
This is from September 8th, 2022. And these are from Mr. Fowler to you, correct?
Yes.
I can't piss. It's really hard to piss. I have to force myself to piss, and I can't. Next text is, it hurts to try. The next text message from that same date at 3/26/16. I don't know, but I read up on prostate cancer, and I have 6 out of 10 signs. Prostate cancer makes your bones hurt and your back and hips mostly. I'm telling you, I know something's definitely wrong. I'm getting sicker by the week and now by the day. I'm so drained right now. I've done nothing all day. Ms. Randall, I want to talk to you about the last time you saw Mr. Fowler. Do you remember the last time you saw Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
When was that?
Say probably 4 days before he passed.
Where did you see him?
He had came to my house. I was taking my girlfriend's grandson out to lunch, and I was headed out the door, and he was coming in. And I said, Leroy, I'm going to go take Liam out to lunch. I said, and I'll be back. You want to follow me, you can, but that's what I'm doing.
And prior to him showing up at your house before you were taking Liam to lunch, had the two of you had some type of argument or disagreement in the days prior to him showing up at your house?
Oh, yeah, we were fighting over something. I don't recall what it was.
So was it another time that you were off
Yes,
and it was him that showed up at your house?
yes.
Had you done anything in terms of his ability to text you or communicate with you during that time?
Yeah, probably, but I had my phone blocked.
And I guess when you block your phone, what did that mean?
He couldn't reach me.
And then he showed up at your house?
Yes.
Did he follow you when you went to lunch with Liam?
He didn't follow me there, but when I got done, I went back to my girlfriend's house with her grandson and was waiting for her to come home. And he kept riding by her house.
Did you have any communication with him, or did you just see him driving by?
I just seen him driving by.
At some point, excuse me, did you, in fact, unblock him?
Yes, on his birthday.
And how many times did you unblock him on his birthday?
Twice.
Why twice?
Once I had called and just said happy birthday and blocked him again. And then my grandkids all called him and said happy birthday. And then I blocked him again.
And is it fair to say that you never heard from him that day?
Not that I remember, no.
At some point, did you become aware that he was in the hospital?
Yes.
Do you remember not what they told you, but who told you?
Little Leroy called me.
Was that on his birthday or at some point prior?
They are.
I believe it was prior to him passing.
Ms. Randall, would you just, again, try to move up to that microphone? People are having some hard time hearing you.
It was, I would say when he was in the hospital, he had told me they were transporting him from Newburyport to the other hospital.
And that was at some point Friday night of his birthday?
Yeah.
Leading up to his birthday, you had indicated that there had been an argument, there was blocking going on. Did you think that your breakup with Mr. Fowler at that point was permanent?
I never knew.
Was it ever permanent?
No.
If I may have one moment.
You may.
Do you remember where you were the Thursday prior to Mr. Fowler's birthday, which would have been November 10th, the night before he went to the hospital?
No.
Were you at Mr. Fowler's house in any way?
No.
Did you ever go to 108 Central Street in November of 2022?
No.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Scully, your witness.
Good morning, Ms. Randall.
Good morning.
My name is Liam Scully. I represent Judy Church along with attorney Stan Norkunis.
Yes.
You and I have never had a chance to speak before, right?
No.
But you've been to many of the court proceedings prior to this trial
Yes.
over the time, and you've seen me in court, and I've seen you around, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a few questions for you as follow-up. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. And before I do, I just want to ask you about your prior interviews with law enforcement in this case. So after Leroy Fowler died, you were interviewed by police for the first time by Detective Brian Verney on November 16th, 2022. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that interview was recorded on body camera, and you were told about that. You remember that?
Yes.
And you didn't have a lawyer at that time. You would just come in for some questioning voluntarily, right?
Yes.
And at that time, a transcript was eventually made of that interview that you did. Is that right?
Yes.
And have you had a chance before your testimony or at some point during the pretrial lead up to this to review that transcript?
I think so. I'm not positive.
Do you remember reading words on a page and this was
Yeah.
an interview that
Yeah.
took place?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, in fact, there was a second interview that you did with law enforcement again, right?
Yes.
And this time, Brian Verney was there, but also Trooper Lewis Williams was there, and he conducted the interview, right?
Yes.
And again, that was at a police station, right?
Yes.
And recorded again on body camera, right?
Yes.
And that time you brought a lawyer with you,
Yes.
Pam Rogers, right?
Yes.
Is she present in the courtroom today?
No, she is not.
Okay. And you brought her and you participated in another but longer interview. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, a transcript would have been made eventually of that longer interview. Do you remember that? And have you had a chance sometime prior to your testimony to review that transcript?
I believe I have, yes.
Okay. All right. So just starting with some basics. So you said presently 64 years old, right? And you grew up in Seabrook,
Yes.
and you still live there?
Yes.
And you own the space you live in?
Yes.
Is that a trailer-style home?
Yes.
Okay. And growing up, you, as an adult, you became a hairdresser
Yes.
and worked as a hairdresser for many, many years,
Yes.
and then eventually worked in the salon in more of an all-purpose capacity. Is that right?
Yes.
By the time Leroy passed away, 2022, were you working still as a hairdresser, or had you transitioned to? Yeah. Had you transitioned to your more all-purpose role, if you remember,
I was the all-purpose role.
in 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you testified on direct examination that The first time you met Leroy Fowler was about 20 years before any relationship with him blossomed. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned on direct examination something about a Keno place. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you remember having a girlfriend or somebody who was inviting you to play cards or poker, and you decided to go, and Leroy ended up being there at that time?
That's not how it went.
Okay.
It was a gentleman, and his name was Brett, and he was on Facebook saying he was going to have a Texas Hold'em game, and I knew Brett.
Okay, so it was Brett, not Bev.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you agreed to go,
I said, yeah. I said, I'll come there, and I'll win every game.
and you met Leroy, right? He was there.
No, I didn't physically go there.
Oh, you didn't go there?
No, not at all.
Did you meet Leroy Fowler in connection with that game?
Yeah, well, that's how he seen my name, he said, was through that text.
And was there an occasion where when you first met, you spent the night together as just friends on a couch?
Yes,
Okay, was that in connection with that game or later?
that was way before.
Way before the game?
Yes.
Okay. So before that game even occurred, you had met Leroy Fowler on a prior occasion. Is that right?
Yeah.
How many years prior to your relationship with him was that?
Oh, geez, many.
30 or 40?
Probably 30.
Okay, so just to kind of get my bearings, so 30 or so years before any relationship, you had met him on an occasion,
Yeah.
and was that so what was the nature of that occasion?
It was social.
So, okay, so,
Yeah.
and you guys hit it off on that occasion, ended up sleeping on a couch together?
Yes.
As friends?
Yes.
And then didn't reconnect again, is that fair?
No. Right.
And the next time you reconnected was on this poker game, is that right? Or he saw you relative
Around
to that?
that. That's when he saw my name, yes.
Okay. But you still hadn't reconnected in person, right?
No.
So when was the first time you reconnected in person?
I would say days after that phone call when he texted me through Facebook.
Okay, so if I've got this right, there was a poker game being started on Facebook,
Yeah.
and he saw that you were in the mix for that,
Yes.
and at some point he just called you?
He texted me, I believe.
He texted you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't have my number.
And you hadn't spoken to him in many, many years.
No.
And that text was the start of what became your relationship with him. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Where were you living at that time?
At my home, 238 Walham Road, Seabrook.
Okay. And did he approach you as sort of a person to potentially have a relationship with or ask you out on a date at some point? How did it go from the first text to the first date?
He kind of as, not a first date, but, kind of going that way.
Okay. And eventually did something along the lines of a first date happen?
Yeah.
And so you started seeing Leroy Fowler at that point, right?
Yes.
And that, you had said that you were in a relationship with him for about 8 years. He died in 2022. So do you think that relationship started in 2014 or so?
Yes.
And was on and off for the next 8 years is how you described it, right?
Yes.
And at some point during that relationship, did you become aware that, in fact, he was living with someone named Judy Church?
Yes.
He had another girlfriend.
Yes.
How long were you in the relationship with Mr. Fowler before you realized that he was living with Judy Church?
Within the first year, probably
Okay.
the first 6 months.
Okay, so it's fair to say for somewhere around 6 months or maybe even as long as a year, you didn't know that Judy Church existed.
No.
You didn't know her from any other circles.
Nope.
And as far as you knew, you were starting this relationship with Leroy Fowler.
Yes.
And continuing that relationship, right? And then you found out at some point that he was in a much more serious relationship with this
Yes.
woman, Judy Church,
Yes.
and that he lived with her,
Yes.
right? And you came to know a decent amount about Judy Church, right?
Yes.
You knew that Judy had a husband named Rusty, right?
Yes.
And that Leroy had a woman, I don't think he was married, but Julie Hawkins, you know who that is?
Yes.
And that eventually Leroy and Julie Hawkins broke up,
Yes.
and that Leroy and Judy got together.
Yes.
And when they first got together, they were living in Rusty's house and Judy's house,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Well, he was at first.
Not at first, but then he moved in. Well, he moved
Then
in
he
as a
moved-
tenant, right?
And then he moved Julie in.
Moved Julie in
Yeah.
And
downstairs.
downstairs.
He
And-
was working on their downstairs apartment.
Okay, so wait, I'm not talking about 108 Central Ave. I'm talking about
No,
the
I'm
house
not.
that Rusty and Judy owned and lived in.
That's
as
the house
husband
I'm
and wife.
talking about.
So let me ask the next question here. So what you also learned was that Judy and Leroy left those relationships to start their own relationship.
Yes.
And that Judy left her husband,
Yes.
and they had had a son together. You know his name is Douglas.
Yes.
And that they moved out together and then started to, purchased and started to work on 108 Central Ave, right?
Yes.
All right. And you know that property.
Yeah.
You've been to that property.
I've been by it. Yes.
Well, you've been in the tenant area in the back, the
Yes.
cottage.
One time. Yes.
Okay. And you went in that cottage when Leroy and Judy were in Florida?
No, Leroy was with me. I'm not sure where she was.
Okay.
A friend of mine lived there.
Yeah. Cousin?
Yeah, it was his cousin, not mine.
Oh, Leroy's cousin.
Yes.
Okay. And so the two of you, Judy was away,
Yes.
and the two of you went to Judy's house.
To that cottage. Yes.
It was her cottage,
Yes.
and you went inside and spent time.
Yes.
Did you ever go into the main house?
No.
Okay. So you also, Judy becomes a rival. Is that fair to say?
In the beginning, yes.
Yeah. Well, she left her family to be with Leroy, right?
Yes.
And you came on the scene and suddenly there was a triangle, right?
Yes.
And you started to refer to Judy as grandma,
Yes.
right? And that wasn't a compliment, right?
No.
That was meant to be insulting, right?
Per se, yes.
And she referred to you as the C word. You learned
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
And Leroy would tell you that that's what she referred to you as.
Yes.
Because you never talked to her in that era.
No.
He would just tell you, Judy calls you the C word.
Yes.
And so we've got Leroy sort of in the middle, and now he's living with Judy, right? You come on the scene, you learn about Judy, right? And you can, yes?
Yes.
And you continue this relationship with Leroy.
Yes.
And you start to refer to Judy as grandma.
Yes.
And you start to form some more opinions about her as a rival in terms of Leroy's affections, right?
Yes.
And you believe that Judy comes from money,
Yes.
and that her sister is a psychiatrist, and her other sister is a professor,
Yes.
and that she has, you think, 2 master's degrees,
Yes.
and that she owns rental properties from when she was married to Rusty back in Everett, right?
Yes.
And that she had sold those and come into cash.
Yes.
And as a result, Judy had, in your mind, financial strength that you didn't have at that
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And she was in a position to buy things that you couldn't buy, right? And is it fair to say that when you met Leroy, he was working construction,
Yes.
he was riding a motorcycle,
Yes.
right? His health appeared when you first started dating him pretty good,
Yes.
kind of a rugged guy.
Yeah.
But over the years, like everybody, he declined some, right?
Yeah.
He had heart issues,
Yeah.
he got a pacemaker,
Yes.
he had back issues,
Yes.
hip issues,
Yes.
Achilles issues. You remember his
Yes.
Achilles?
Yes.
Yeah. A host of other issues that he would go to the doctor for, right?
Yes.
And eventually he was unable to work, so he got himself on disability income, right?
Yes.
And food stamps.
Yes.
Had a food card.
Yes.
And so it appeared to you that he was somewhat financially dependent on grandma, on Judy.
Yes.
And then, so was the relationship that he lived with her for stability, and then whenever he got bored with her, he would come visit you for fun?
Yes.
All right. And he would just come and go as he wanted, right?
Not pretty much as he wanted, but as much as I allowed. I mean,
Well,
he would come and then we'd talk and then he'd leave and just went back and forth that way.
you told the police that if you locked the door, he would just kick it in.
Yes.
So you didn't have the ability to just stop him on your own.
No.
And he wouldn't oftentimes announce his presence like, hey, I'm coming over for a few days. He would just show up when he was in the mood to.
Yes.
And you would welcome him in and spend time with him.
Yes.
And you knew that Judy didn't like this.
Yes.
You knew it was hurting her, right?
Yeah.
You knew that she had given up her family for this guy.
I didn't really think about all that.
Well, you know Judy.
Yeah. Well,
You know she gave up her family for Leroy.
Yes.
You know Leroy was living with her.
Yes.
You know financially she was providing the money to keep Leroy afloat,
Yes.
right? And she's waiting back at her house where she lives with Leroy, but he was just going to your house anyway
Yes.
for years, right?
Yes.
Did you give some thought to how that affected or how that would affect Judy?
I would say sometimes.
Did you like the relationship you had with Leroy in that dynamic?
No.
Did you want more?
No.
You said you accepted a marriage proposal 2 times, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you said yes because you wanted more in the relationship and wanted to take the place of Judy, right?
I just wanted it to be he and I. Yes.
Right. So you wanted it to be you and Leroy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Judy wanted it to be her and Leroy.
Yes.
And the two of you guys pretty much hated each other virtually, right?
Yes.
You weren't communicating with her.
No.
And she wasn't communicating with you.
No.
And you would see each other in very random occasions, right?
Yes.
You remember Leroy had a black motorcycle?
Yes.
And Judy used to ride on the back of that?
Yes.
And you used to ride on the back of that?
Yes.
You remember one time when Judy saw you riding on that motorcycle?
Yes.
You remember the white motorcycle that she bought for Leroy after that incident?
Yes.
So when she saw you riding on the back of Leroy's motorcycle that she bought for him, the black one,
Yes.
because she didn't want to sit in the same seat, she was so mad, she bought him another one,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And Judy and Leroy had a dog named Salt, right? It
Yes.
was a rescue dog,
Yes.
a big dog that they adopted together when they were starting their little family, right?
Yes.
Because they weren't having kids at that age.
No.
So they got a dog,
Yes.
and they moved that dog into 108 Central Ave.
Yes.
But Leroy used to bring the dog over to your house,
Occasionally.
and you knew Judy didn't like that.
I didn't really think about it.
In fact, you learned on one occasion that Judy made Leroy shampoo the dog to clean him because he had just been at your
Yes.
house, right?
Now that you say it, yes.
Yeah, this is what Leroy would tell you as well. This is how you learn this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would come to you and snitch on her.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of playing one person off the other, right?
Pretty much.
Kept his position nice and strong.
Yes.
There was even a voodoo doll. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So there came to be at some point a voodoo doll, if you want to call it that, a sock doll with your name on it, right? And I'm putting on the overhead Exhibit 7, right? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
All right, so the way you recognize that is actually Leroy showed that to you.
Yes.
Again, he's letting you know, even though Barbara didn't communicate that with you, right? I'm sorry, Judy didn't communicate that to you.
No.
But he's letting you know, oh, wow, Judy's really mad and hurt, right?
Yes.
And your name is on this, and it says Barb, right?
Yes.
And he even told you, Leroy told you, that Judy wants me to get some of your hair to put on here,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But Judy never tried to approach you with this or do anything with this, right?
No.
And this was many years before Leroy died.
Not many. I would say within the last couple.
At least 2 years before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so these things would happen, these insults, whether it's salt or whether it's the motorcycle or a doll, but nothing physically happened between you and Judy.
No.
And you wouldn't start texting each other the bad names you had for each other or the like during that era.
No.
So for 8 years, you were separated rivals, virtual rivals, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were aware at some point when you were dating Leroy that he had a tattoo of the word Judy on his heart, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you made him remove that tattoo.
Yes.
And in fact, he did remove the Judy tattoo, right?
Yes.
And you were aware through Leroy that Judy had a tattoo of Leroy on her side.
Yes.
And so you made him remove that tattoo as a condition of his marriage proposal to you, right? That you weren't going to marry somebody with another woman's name on his heart.
No.
And in fact, you don't remember it that way?
No.
And didn't you videotape that marriage proposal and he shows you that, look, I don't have Judy on my heart anymore?
Yes.
Okay. So that did happen. He removed the tattoo at your request and then got down on a knee and proposed to you.
Not in that day like that, no.
Well, it takes a little while to remove a tattoo.
He removed it, probably the day before.
Okay.
But it wasn't my threat to him, I won't marry you until you remove her name.
Well, you hadn't married him or said you would marry him while that tattoo was on him.
He hadn't asked me.
And the very next day after he removes it, he asks you to marry him.
Yes.
And you say yes, but you never get married.
No.
Now, are you aware also that Judy hung a picture of you on the refrigerator of the
Yes.
house? There were 2 refrigerators in the house, right? The main refrigerator, and then Leroy kept a second refrigerator.
Yes.
And you're aware of that second refrigerator. Did you ever see it?
No.
Do you know what he kept in it?
No.
Okay. And that was a picture that Judy had found where you weighed about 200 pounds from a previous time in your life, right?
Yes.
And she hung that up with arrows, sort of pointing in an insulting way at
Yes.
calling you fat. Is that right?
She had arrows pointing to bad hair day, bad legs.
Right. And that was 4 years prior when that picture was up to Leroy to 2022.
I don't know if it was 4 years, but yes.
Okay.
It was prior.
All right. So you don't have a memory of whether that was 4 years ago, right?
Not really. I
right.
mean, it did happen.
If I showed you your transcript, might that refresh your memory?
Yes.
All right. Second interview, page 20. Can I approach on?
Yes, you may.
All right, I'm just going to show you a transcript here of your second interview, page 20. And just read those sections and take your time and look up when you're done.
Okay.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory that, in fact, it was 4 years prior to 2022 that picture was up on the house at Judy's house?
Yes.
Okay. And that's what you had told police at the time of one of your interviews, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, 2022, well, you testified about, on direct examination, about a trip to Florida that Judy and Leroy made when he flew back and you picked him up at an airport, right?
Yes.
Is that Logan Airport?
Yes.
Okay, that was one of several trips to Florida, right?
Yes.
And in 2022, they made a much longer trip to Florida, right?
Yes.
That's when they bought the Florida house.
Yes.
And you became aware that that house was purchased.
Yes.
And in fact, it was your thinking that Judy timed that trip so that he would be away from you on your birthday in February, right?
Yes.
Your birthday's February 14th.
Yes.
They had gone down actually the very end of December of 2021,
Yes.
around Christmas. He was gone. And he wasn't home for your birthday.
No.
So he left in December with Judy, and he was there in January,
Yes.
and he was there in February, right?
I got, yeah.
And then March.
Okay.
They bought a house during this trip,
Yes.
and you know Judy paid cash for that house.
Yes.
And they bought Leroy came home in a big black, I think, Dodge Ram pickup truck, right?
Yes.
And Judy paid cash for that for him.
Yes.
And that became Leroy's truck.
Yes.
And Leroy and Judy co-owned that house in Florida.
Yes.
And when they came back, it would have been end of March, somewhere in that ballpark.
I guess, yeah.
All right. And this caused a rift between you and Leroy that was ongoing throughout the year of 2022, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that year became very tumultuous for you two. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And you started having, with Leroy, big fights and lots of breakups starting in May of 2022, right?
We always did, yes.
Okay. Okay. And on one occasion, he was also accusing you of being with someone named Kenny.
Yes.
That was in May of 2022, right?
If you say so, yes.
Well-
yeah, I mean, he did. I'm not sure what month it was.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
If I showed you text messages between you and Leroy in May of 2022, would that potentially refresh your memory?
Yeah, of the month.
All right. So these are some text messages. You referred to Leroy in your contacts as ex-Leroy, correct?
Yes.
And you see here that he was, well, read this to yourself, please.
This
Blue
one.
text is from Leroy. Green is your reply.
Okay.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory that in May of 2022, Leroy was at least accusing you of being with someone named Kenny?
Yeah, I said yes to that. I just wasn't sure of the month.
That's what I said, May
Yes.
2022.
Yes.
That's the month it was.
Yes.
And that led to some significant arguing and a breakup, right?
It always did.
It always did. But you got back together, right?
Yes.
And in June, another fight occurred that led to another separation breakup between you guys, right?
Yes.
And that one centered around him doing Percocets. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Did he have...
We probably had an argument over it. I'm not sure of the months.
Okay. He had an ongoing problem with Percocets, right?
Not ongoing. He got them prescribed from the doctor.
Okay. Well, he got them anyway, right?
Well, for pain, yes.
Yeah. And did he get any from you?
Me, no.
Okay. So if I suggested to you that on June 26, 2022, you texted to him, you don't give a fuck about me. Hope you enjoyed the perks. You just use me because you've always put me second. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, if you say so, yeah.
I'll just approach and see. That top.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that refresh your memory that you had sent him that message in June? In fact, June 26th of 2022?
Yes.
And that was in connection with another breakup, right?
Yes.
And you testified on direct examination that you never knew whether this breakup was going to be the real breakup or whether you would reconcile, right?
Right. Yes.
They felt real at the time.
Yes.
There was another breakup in July. Do you remember that?
Yes.
You do? Okay. And,
Said we were always breaking up.
okay, so you don't doubt that. And that,
No.
that, again, you texted him, F you, Leroy, enjoy Florida. Go to Florida.
Yes.
And this started to emerge as a thing because you were aware that there was a plan for Judy and Leroy to relocate to Florida permanently.
Yes.
And so in 2022, that became another issue between you and Leroy.
One of many, yes.
One of many. Now, August of 2022 was a rough month for Leroy. Is that correct?
Yeah.
He was using cocaine, right?
Yeah.
He was using Percocets, right?
I don't know at that point. In August of 22?
Yeah.
No. Not that I am aware of. That I know of.
I'm going to show you a text message from you to him right here, August 24th.
Okay.
Okay. That text message from you to him is, I need some money. I can get you Coke and Perks.
Did I say Coke? Cookies, I meant.
You meant cookies.
Yeah, not cocaine.
So you meant cookies and Percocets,
Yeah.
not cocaine and Percocets.
No.
And you needed money to buy cookies.
For what?
You needed money to buy cookies.
No, it was just a phrase, a fun phrase I used.
Okay, but the message says, I need money, $2
Yes,
signs.
yes,
I can get you
yes.
Cook, meaning Coke, and Perks.
No, I didn't mean Coke. I meant cookies was just a phrase I would use, calling them that.
So just Perks.
Yeah,
All right. Leroy was also, you described him as not a drinker, but by August of 2022, he was having episodes of drunkenness, right?
I seen one.
Okay.
Now,
What did you see?
he had showed up at my house again, obliviated.
Yeah.
But that was really the only I ever seen him drunk.
Okay.
He wasn't a known drinker at all.
Right. But there was this one time you saw him in August where he looked drunk to you.
Yes,
And you drink alcohol, right?
yes,
Okay. So he had all the hallmarks of a drunk at that time. Slurring his speech, smelled like alcohol, right?
well, nobody smelled, but yes,
Okay. You had no doubt he was drunk.
yeah,
And you would, and that was a relatively new phenomenon.
yeah,
Him drinking to that excess.
yeah,
And then there was another occasion not long after that where he had a blackout episode where he went to Newburyport overnight, didn't remember how he got there, where he was, who he was with, what he had done, and contacted you to help get his motor stay, right?
yeah, I think, yeah,
So there was this time you observed him being drunk, right? Right?
Yeah, that
And now
was-
there's this other time that he talks about this blackout episode in Newburyport, right?
yes,
In September, he was violent towards you, correct?
yes,
He hit you, and he pulled your hair,
yes,
and he threw you down.
yes,
Was that the first time he had been physically violent towards you?
pretty much.
So there had been others?
No, not to that extent. No.
That was the worst one.
Yeah,
So by the time you get to September, your relationship is hitting an all-time low.
yes, it always was.
And you're breaking up again with him, right?
Yes,
But then reconciling again sometime later than that, right?
yeah,
In October.
okay,
Is that right?
yeah. I mean, like I said, we did it all the time. I don't know what months to what months.
And in these breakups now, as you started getting closer, you were aware that Leroy and Judy were going to move to Florida.
Yes,
And that they had at least started putting that plan in motion with respect to packing, right?
yes,
And that part of your fights with Leroy was, go to Florida. I'm all done with you.
yes,
And he would text back or communicate with you, I'm going to Florida,
Yes.
right? And the bitterness still ensued between you and Judy in the background.
yes,
You'd say, go to Florida with that grandma.
yes.
She'll take care of you with her money, stuff like that. Right?
I don't know if I went to that extent, but yes.
Okay, that was the sense behind it, right? And then on November 5th, Leroy sent you a text message that was a breakup text message from him to you, where he said to you, the trailer's all packed and I'm leaving.
Yes,
That was November 5th, right?
okay.
Do you remember it that way?
I remember it being said. I don't remember the dates.
But it was right there in that time period.
Okay,
And then, well, Okay. So he texts you on November 5th. Okay, I promise you never ever will, that he means see me again. This is the last time you'll ever hear from me. Goodbye.
Okay.
Remember that? And I'll just show you the text message, which is in blue. You remember the message, but the date is on there as well.
Yes.
Okay. So that was November 5th, right?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
And that was the last breakup. Right?
Yes.
You had him blocked for a while, but you texted him back, leave me alone, fuck you, do what you have done the last 3 beautiful days, fuck you, told you this time's different, done.
Yes.
And that was your final breakup text to him on November 8th, right? And after that, you never saw him again.
No.
There was that one episode that the prosecutor and you described in direct examination where he had come, he seemed to be following you around, right?
Yes.
You were going out to lunch with your girlfriend's
Grandson.
grandson Liam,
Yes.
and told Leroy, follow me if you want, right?
I said you can follow me if you want. Yes.
Yeah. And is that an episode where he smashed up your fence?
Yes.
What happened?
My girlfriend came home and we left and we went out. He followed us to my house and I got out of my car. I had seen him behind her car following us. So I went to the lights, went home fast, got out of my car, locked it. She pulled in and I jumped in her car and then we left and went out for the night. And when I came home, my whole fence was smashed in. Not damaged, but just like pushed over.
And did it appear a motor vehicle struck it?
Yes. I knew he had done it.
Yeah. Was he drunk?
I didn't see him. No, I'd say no, but
And in the aftermath of that was the text I just read to you about being done, right?
yes.
And after that breakup, as far as you knew, the plan was he was moving to Florida with Judy, and everything was packed, and he was going on his birthday or that weekend.
Yes.
And that would have meant, from her perspective, she finally outlasted you.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Strasny.
Thank you. Is it fair to say that when you and Leroy would fight and break up, it was because he was jealous of other men that he thought you were with?
Yes.
He wasn't leaving you and breaking up with you because he was in love with Judy, was he?
No.
He just didn't want you to be with anybody else
Right.
because he wanted to be with you.
Yes.
And this fight that you were just asked about on November 5th, he did come back to your house after that, after it was done, on the day that you took Liam to lunch, right?
I seen him that day. That was the last time I'd physically seen him.
And you were asked about the black motorcycle. Judy saw you driving on his black motorcycle, so she bought him a new one.
Yes, because I had rode on his black one.
What did she do to that?
Objection. Sidebar, please.
Yes? Ms. Strasnick.
You said that there was a rivalry between you and Judy only at the beginning. Why was that?
Because after that, I felt bad for her. I thought it was pathetic what was going on.
And is that how you felt up until and through Leroy's death, that what was going on between the two of you with Leroy was pathetic?
Yeah.
And you were asked about text messages, correct?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that at some point the Massachusetts State Police asked you if they could search your phone and do a download of the phone?
Yes.
And you consented to let them do that?
Yes.
You cooperated with them?
Yes.
Did you also cooperate with them and provide a DNA sample when it was requested?
Yes.
You were asked about having an attorney present for that second interview by the name of Pam Rogers. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do you know Pam?
She comes into the hair salon where I work at.
Why did you bring her to that interview?
Just for backup, just to make sure, I've never been through anything like this in my life.
I want to, if I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Is it fair to say that, how did you have Judy's phone number in your phone?
From her, we exchanged numbers for different appointments and what have you, too.
No, sorry, Judy, not Pam. Judy.
Oh,
What was the contact in your phone? Was it Grandma?
Yeah.
And at some point in August of 2022, did Grandma text you?
Yes.
Now I'll approach you, Honor. I'm just going to show you 3 text messages from August 6, 2022. Are those text messages that Grandma sent your phone?
Could you say that one more time, Ms. Strasnick? I was speaking to Ms. Draper.
Right, are these text messages that Grandma sent her cell phone on August 6, 2022?
August 6th?
Yes. Those are the text messages?
Yes.
If these could be marked as the next exhibit, please.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
I may.
Exhibit 32, so marked.
And with the court search, I'm going to try to play them on the computer instead of the Elmo. I think they might be easier to see and read.
Okay.
So these are the text messages, and they're dated August 6, 2022, correct?
Yes.
And Grandma, or the defendant, had reached out to you and had a conversation with you about Leroy, right?
Yes.
And nowhere in the text messages are you writing back to her, correct?
No.
And she said, got a million more if you want them, but hey, keep the lie in sack. I've got a better life without him. I think you can relate. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then she sends you something that says, Leroy to me. I love you, hon. Promise I will get things done tomorrow so we can finally get back home. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the last message from August 6, 2022 at 5:35 in the morning. He will tell you to block me. He's going to try to win you over with more lies. Tell you how horrid I am. Believe me when I say he tells horrid things about you too. He's playing us both with lies upon lie. He brought me to the Leo's ball game. He told me to do Leo's concert. He's a coward, plain and simple, and it's time we both toss him out. If you are unwilling, I completely understand. He's got you snowed. Me no more. Buy you will eventually. Did he tell you he loved you more than anyone ever? He only loves himself. Those are the messages that she sent?
Yes.
I have no further question.
Could I have that exhibit? So just leave it on the screen, please. Yes, please. I just have a couple of follow-ups just on Exhibit 32, okay?
Yes.
So this was a rare communication from Judy Church to you via text message, right?
Yes.
And what had happened was Leroy was with you for one of those few days that you talked about, right?
Yes.
And Judy's hurt,
I guess. Yeah.
and she's angry.
I guess.
And what that shows you is that the rivalry is still on.
Objection.
Sustained.
And in fact, she calls Leroy a coward for the way that he treats both of you women.
Yes.
She's right, isn't she?
Objection.
Sustained.
That was cowardly of him.
Objection.
That's how she looked at it.
Sustained.
I don't.
You don't have to answer that.
A real man would have made a choice.
Objection.
Mr. Scully, I will sustain the objection.
No further questions.
Thank you very much. You may step down, Ms. Randall.